Hi there, my name's Sess. I'm known as the True You Coach, and what that means is I help people to really feel into and discover who they truly are, so that whatever they're doing in life, work, love, play, they show up as their true selves, and that means that they're more fulfilled, more complete, more everything, not settling for that less than experience. And what you may or may not know about me is that I talk to my ancestors, my female ancestors, and the conversations I have with them, and I say conversations, but there are no words. It's they don't have words or language in the way that I do, so we communicate in other ways that are sometimes frustrating for me and for them, because I don't always understand what they're saying, but we get there in the end, and they do exercise a lot of patience with me. And I have to also exercise patience with them as well, because sometimes it's not always what I want to do at that time, or something I want to experience at that time. So I have to learn to be patient with them, and they have to be learn to be patient with me. But it works. We get there in the end, and it's evolving. Even though it's something that I've kind of always done, but didn't understand what was actually going on. But what I would love to do is to bring you some of their wisdom and their knowledge and their concerns for us as a species and the planet as a whole, so that we can try and navigate this situation that we find ourselves in. Seriously, I don't need to explain the situation to you. You can take your pick, for there are several. So initially, what I'd like to do is just come in and explain who they are and what they've got to say. They are incredibly ancient ancestors. They're not sort of recent ancestors. They go way, way, way back. And it's taken me a long time to figure out how far back they go. And I still don't have it in what we would call years or thousands of years. But it was a time before we were farmers, I suppose. That's the impression I get. Basically, we didn't have permanent homes. We didn't have, the concept of farming and staking out a piece of land and saying, I own that and you don't. And I have a right to say what happens to it. So this is kind of what they're trying to explain to me, that before that, there was no concept of things like possession or aggression and things like that. And everything that was done within the tribe or community was done for the benefit of the tribe or the community. And a lot of people would like you to believe that that time was quite hard and a real struggle to survive, but it wasn't. This is what they have told me loud and clear, is that it wasn't a struggle. It wasn't at all a struggle. It came with trials and tribulations and challenges, but without challenges we don't grow. But they rose to those challenges together, and what they did was they roamed the earth and they followed the herds, and they harvested the bounty of the earth, and the earth gave them everything they needed. It was all there. They had everything in abundance, but they knew they didn't own anything, or it's not that they didn't know it. They had no concept of ownership and, like I said, possession. So they understood that there was a balance to be maintained. They would give things and receive things, and they would be in harmony with, and if you communicate with, all of the other animals and plants around them. They understood their place in the circle of life, and it was lovely and it was beautiful, and they had a lot of fun and they had a lot of love for each other, and that's what they did. Everything they did was based on love and growth and things to do with the benefit of the community as a whole. There was very little isolation, and they knew that they had a particular identity, So they knew they were one, but they knew the one was one of many and part of a thing much bigger than them. So, you know, it would be parents or whatever, and out tribe, communities, other tribes, harmony with the animals and the plants and the forests and the trees and the plains and the deserts and everything around them. And they knew how to navigate things by listening to their inner wisdom and making decisions as a whole that would benefit the entire tribe. And at that time, the connection to the earth was deeper and more harmonious. It's not even the right words. Feel into it and you'll get it. Feel into it and you'll get it. But it was the women who together in collaboration would make decisions about when to move on, where to go, how to do things, and they made these decisions because they had an innate wisdom that they were born with, and a knowledge that they were born with that was nurtured as they grow by being not isolated from the other women. The women were always together. And it was that wisdom that was nurtured, among other things, as they grew. And it was basically everybody accepted and knew that the women knew what to do because it was their responsibility to grow the next generation, grow the children and take care of them. So their instincts and intuition about what was best for the child was best for the tribe, because if you like, the tribe was another child that needed to be taken care of. So everybody was taken care of individually and as a whole, and it was accepted and known and honoured and respected that the women knew how to do that better than the men, because that's what they do. They are the seat of creation. They create a whole other human being, and let's face it, without more human beings coming along generation after generation, we die out as a species. It is the survival of the species that is the single most important thing. And you can have all the possessions and cars and shoes and bags and holidays and yachts and things in the world. But if we are in a situation where the species is dying out, we're in trouble, and none of those external things matter. And our forebears knew this. They didn't know about things like BMWs, but they knew and accepted and lived within the harmony of taking care of each other. That was the primary thing, was to take care of each other and to provide food, shelter when we needed it. But it wasn't a struggle that the researchers and archaeologists would like us to believe. It wasn't the struggle that they make it out to be. It was the stuff was there because we were in tune with it, and the bounty of the earth provided for us. It provided everything we needed because we didn't need cushions and shoes and handbags and yachts and cars and houses and so some of the concepts that we didn't have then, let's just call it when the women were in charge, some of the concepts that we didn't have then would be things like aggression and anger and armies. We didn't have armies. Yeah, there would be hunting parties, but by and large the tribes coexisted because they also understood the benefits of widening the gene pool. It didn't do good to have just people interbreeding within the tribe as it was. So there was relationships with other tribes around us and everything to keep the gene pool healthy. And we knew this, so relationships between other tribes, and there was trade, and people would also spend time in tribes learning skills and learning things and just learning experiences and just holidaying with another tribe for a while. So everything was much more in flow, much more in harmony, much more in balance, and they understood the ebb and flow, the yin and yang, the good and the bad, and they knew and accepted. And they would sort of course correct when things weren't going well. They would sort of change the way they did things and develop in that kind of way. But until we stopped moving around and accepting the earth's bounty, that's really when things started to really go tits up, if I can say it like that. And yeah, there's a pun intended. Because one of the things that has been allowed to really, really perpetuate the plight of women down throughout the millennia is the fact that we've been separated from each other. You know, women now live in isolation from other women. In days gone by, we had multi-generational families, multi-generational houses and things, and that works, doesn't work, depending on, you know, the individuals within that. But we lost so much when we stopped moving around and we went into huts, and we thought that then maintaining that hut, that then became, you know, the big priority. We've got to maintain this shelter, and we forgot how to live in harmony with the elements, because once we settled down, we had to put up with whatever was happening around. Whereas before, you know, we knew where to go for fresh water, we knew how to follow the seasons and not be too hot and not to be too cold, and, you know, and things like that. So it was around about that time that we actually started to become separated from who we truly are, and a big part of that is women not being together. And you know, when you get 2 or 3 women in a room for any extended amount of time, they put the world to rights, and that's because that's what we naturally do. That is our default mode. We know, but nobody listens to us, nobody acts on what we say, and nobody gives it credence, and nobody honours it, and nobody respects that we actually have all the answers. But we do. This is our default mode. We still know how to do it. We still carry that wisdom, and we carry that knowledge because we're women. For no other reason. It's actually really, really natural to us to do that. And we know how to do it coming from a place of nurturing and loving and growing things, rather than dominating and destroying things, which frankly has got us into the mess we're in now. Whatever mess you can, pick your situation. It's like they all fit into this mold of, we're not listening to the women, we're not paying attention to them, we're not giving their voice the ears that it deserves, and certainly not allowing them to get together to solve things, which they will, and they can, and they do, if they're allowed to, and if they're given the opportunity. So this is, you know, one of the things that my ancestors really, really want me to come in and pass on to you is for women to get together, for women to support each other. And women in business is a prime example. If women are in business, either leading businesses or having their own businesses, and they get used to, you know, making decisions and having people act on those decisions, then we gain that inner push, that conviction that, yeah, people will listen to us and people will act on what we say. And yeah, it's a kind of power, but it's a power from within, and it's not a power over other people, it's an inner power. So yeah, it is a power. It's women's power, and it's completely different. So as women, we need to come together. We need to support each other. We need to support each other's businesses. We need to big each other up. We need to put our arms around each other. We need to create spaces where we can get together and talk about things, talk about our lives, our situations, our businesses, our hopes, aspirations and dreams, and then find ways to make those happen, because what benefits one person in a positive way benefits in a ripple effect out to benefit everybody. And this is what we need to be doing more of all over the planet, is more of this nurturing, supporting and growing, not acquisition and dominion and domination and aggression. We need to let that go. We need to stop doing that. And you know, there's a saying, you know, I'm only one person advocating this, and I'm just a voice in the wilderness, but I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. And that's the thing. When women have been isolated from each other for so long, and when I say so long, I'm talking tens of thousands of years, and go and look up your history of where you live. Go and look up the history of the laws of where you live and how women have been denied access to education, to control over their own money, control over any kind of wealth or decision-making power. Go and look at the laws of your country, whichever country you live in. It's there. It's writ large. So this is what we need to do. We need to change it, and we don't need politicians to be creating the world that we live in, because they will never create one that benefits us. So we get to decide, and we get to go under the radar of things like governments and do it our way, do it in a loving way, doing it in a supportive way, doing it in an inclusive way, doing it in a nurturing and growing way, and just do it. Just do it. And don't let the critics and don't let people say that, oh, what you're doing, you're just one person, because you're not. This is it. We need to connect, and we need to bring women together, and we need to give them an arena and give them voices, and get them heard, and start acting, start doing. So start doing. At whatever level you're at, whatever position you're in, start doing something where you can help another woman who's trying to make a change, help another woman who's trying to start a business, whatever that business be. She might be, just opening a store, opening a shop, but she's doing it as an independent, not a big multinational, multi-conglomerational people with, a board of directors who want dividends. If she's opening a store, shop near you, an online one, or she's trying to be some sort of health practitioner, bringing, alternative modalities to you, ways that you can heal without, subscribing to the big pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, I know that I'm speaking against the big conglomerations, and I don't care. I don't care, because it needs people to step up and say, no, do you know what? I'm going to find an alternative. I'm going to find a different way of doing things, and I'm going to look to women to provide it. And it will start small, and it will big, and we will start to look to other women to provide the things that our communities need, and then the communities, it will ripple out. So this is one of the biggest messages that my ancestors are pushing me to bring across to you, and I'm not the only person talking about this. So prick up your ears. It's time to listen, not just listen, but to take action. That's what they want. They want to see more action around the world, and it's not aggressive action, it's peaceful action. It's just supporting each other, letting women come together, finding ways of bringing women to come together so that their voice gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And yeah, that's basically it. So that's a big message that they keep bringing across. And what I will do is I will bring you more as it comes through and it becomes clear to me what the message underneath it is, because I do have to decipher what they're trying to say. And sometimes there's a lot of voices. When I say voices, it's not voices, it's just noise in my head. So I hope that helped, and I hope this had value for you somewhere along the line. I hope it resonated somewhere deep inside in your heart or your soul or your gut, or even just in your head. If it made sense at all, try and act on it. That's all I ask. In any small way, just find a way to support another woman out there, no matter what she's doing, to try and make this world a better place.